We've all made mistakes, some bigger than others, and some on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Everyone's guilty of slipping on a few of these, and I'm going to call you out, and myself as well, so it doesn't happen again. Here we go. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and are you guilty of saving a chair at the pool all day, or how about being late for the bus back from your excursion and holding everyone up? Yeah, me too. I've got to list some of the worst things that everyone seems to do on a cruise, and when I say worst, I'm saying sometimes it's because of how they affect other guests on board, and sometimes it's the worst because of how it affects you. So let's dive into some things that you want to be considerate about when you go on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Let's begin with not canceling reservations when you know you aren't going. Now, it's one thing if you're making a reservation for an excursion or a specialty restaurant because that costs money and you will probably cancel those in advance. But things like my time dining reservations in the main dining room or even show reservations on ships that allow that require no money down. And in a lot of cases, people make them many months before they go on a cruise, and then maybe they forget about them, maybe something comes up, they change their plans, but they neglect to go in and cancel those reservations on their own. Certainly, there's no penalty for not doing that, but in a move to be a little more considerate for your fellow guests, it's a good idea to cancel these whenever you know you're definitely not going to go there. And I have been guilty of this, especially show reservations, because you make the reservations in advance and then things change. And I think sometimes I'll go back in and do it later. Later never happens. And oops, I get the notification on my phone for the actual showtime when I'm on the cruise, and then I'm like, oh yikes, I forgot to cancel that. So it's a good idea that if you know you're not going to go to do something, whether it is, again, a dining reservation in the main dining room, or perhaps one of the awesome shows in the Royal Theater, the Aqua Theater, these are limited seating, so if you know you're not going to go, definitely cancel them so that way you open it up for somebody else. The next thing I have on my list that you probably shouldn't do is taking photos or video in a show. Now, Royal Caribbean shows are amazing. And again, we just talked about the great shows in the Royal Theater, in the Aqua Theater, in 270. They're amazing. And certainly not only do you want to remember your cruise memories, but also show your friends and family at home, look how awesome this is. Or in my case, show how awesome it is on Facebook, right? Take a nice little photo, post on Instagram. It looks great, except it's kind of disruptive to other guests around you. Now, the smart thing to do is use a device that is not going to emanate any natural light. Certainly no flash photos. That's a big one. Royal Caribbean usually before the show will tell you not to use flash, so you should definitely not be doing that. But if you're going to take photos, because sometimes photos are allowed but not video, make sure that it's not obtrusive to other guests. If you're using your phone, try to do it really quickly because, of course, as soon as you pick your phone up to take the photo, your screen is going to make a lot of light, and that's going to at least interrupt other people's enjoyment of the show. So try to take it as quick as you can. Using a regular camera, I know those things still exist, a DSLR or something like that that doesn't have a digital screen, or you don't have to use the digital screen in order to take the photo, is a lot less obtrusive. Also, some of the DSLR cameras are really good in low light situations, so that way you're not having to use your flash at all. Now, Royal Caribbean will tell you before a show if you are allowed to use certain devices or not, so we can piggyback on that by simply saying if they tell you not to take video, don't take video. If they tell you not to do flash photos, don't take flash photos. And in some rare cases, they may say don't take photos at all. The classic example of this is in the escape rooms where you're not allowed to use them. So respect the rules and also try to be respectful of your guests around you. So if you are going to take a photo, because photos are allowed, just try to do it as quickly and as discreetly as possible. Sitting towards the back or maybe just holding your device up to your chest is a really good idea. Something that's definitely qualifies as being the worst is saving seats for a show. There are a lot of great shows and activities on cruise ships, but space is limited, and let's face it, everyone wants to see these shows, and it's very highly coveted. Space is even more limited when it comes to things like comedy shows, or even trivia events, or bars, or karaoke, major sporting events. If you're going to take in a show on board the ship, or maybe see the ice show while at sea, make sure everybody is with you when you enter the theater. Some guests will send a part of their group ahead in order to not only get seats for themselves, but also, hold seats for somebody else. And listen, it is just not the right thing to do. We're on a cruise ship. It's not like they're coming from downtown and they're stuck in traffic, okay? We're all in the same thing. And at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do, the most considerate thing you can do, is have everybody show up on time to get their seats. And then it's totally cool. But holding seats and telling other people who are arriving there, hey, you can't sit here because my mom, my kids, my friends are on their way, they just stepped out for a second, it's just not a great thing. So the bottom line is don't save seats. Not only is it inconsiderate, but it also requires people to kind of step over other people. So one of those want to be considerate of others things. And I don't think I've ever done this in the theater. Gosh, I hope I've never done this in the theater. But I know that like sometimes, for trivia, you might be holding a chair or two, and that's okay. I think that's fine. But really, when you're talking about, popular events, especially any of the shows in the Aqua Theater, the Royal Theater, 270, or Studio B, you want to make sure that you're not holding seats, even if they are just, down the hall or had to run back up to the room. Wait for those people so that way you're not that guy. The next awful thing that makes our list is letting your children run wild on the ship. I've got 2 kids. I get it. As a parent, you can't always have them shackled to you. And of course, these kids are on vacation too, and spending time with other kids and family members is part of what makes cruising so fun. But there is a big difference between letting your kids, enjoy some time by themselves and, of course, disrupting other people. Letting children run wild, especially, running up and down hallways, being annoying to other guests, hitting all the buttons in the elevators. These are the kind of irritating things that just give family cruising a bad name. So, it's okay to give your kids a little bit of freedom on board. I'm not advocating, just having them, again, stuck in the room all day or purely an adventure ocean, but you want to make sure that your kids are being just as respectful to other guests as you are, and certainly policing what your kids are doing, knowing where they are, and certainly not allowing them the kind of free roaming, if you want to call it that, that would be the kind of subject matter that would end up being worthy of a Facebook rant post somewhere or even on a message board. So yeah, don't let your kids run super wild. Just make sure they're being supervised and of course that they're behaving just as nicely as any other adult should be on the ship. Next up, let's talk elevator etiquette. And cruise ships will never have enough elevators for everybody on the board. It's just the nature of the beast. So unless you have a medical or health reason, which is totally cool in that case, try to use the stairs if you're just going up a deck or two on board. Nothing is more irritating than getting on board an elevator and then somebody else getting on board and only going up a deck or two. It just makes everything go slower. And not only that, it takes longer probably for the elevator to stop, open the doors, let the people on, go up a deck, stop, open up the doors, let those people get off the elevator for just one deck. Now again, medical and health reasons, everyone understands that. Totally cool. Speaking of elevator etiquette, always let people get off before you get on. I gotta say, this one always surprises me that people don't get this. When you're waiting for an elevator, there are 2 major etiquette rules. Number 1, whoever got to the elevator bank first, you let them get on the elevator first. Number 2, when the doors open, you stand to the side and let the people on the elevator get out, and then you get in. That's the proper etiquette, so make sure you follow that. It's the right thing to do. To make sure that you're not stumbling everybody. It also makes things a lot faster rather than everybody trying to cram in while others are trying to get out. It just creates a problem later on. So follow good elevator etiquette. All right, I'm going to admit this next one is something I do not as flagrantly as it sounds, but go with me on this one, and that is cutting the line at the buffet. Okay, I don't jump into the buffet line and be like, excuse me, I'm coming through. Far from that, right? But sometimes, there's a bit of a buildup at one end of the buffet, and I want to go grab something in the middle, and there's a gap, and maybe I'll slide in there. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments if that's cool or not. But the bottom line is really cutting at the buffet is really poor form. There's a line. You can see the line. Even if you are, like I said, just grabbing one thing, if you're getting in the way of somebody else who has been waiting their turn, it's a bad idea. So don't do it. You want to make sure you wait your turn. It is not usually that long of a line. Even if it goes back a few people, it will move. You'll get your food. You will not go hungry. Everything will be okay. So certainly respecting other guests and not cutting the line to the buffet is a great idea, and also something that, again, goes back to something I think overarching this video is all about, which is respecting everybody on board. So I just called myself out about the cutting in line aspect of the buffet, but this one is something that I would never do, and this is something that I absolutely get so irritated about when it happens to me, and that is being late to shore excursions or an event. So, the classic example is you're on a Royal Caribbean shore excursion, having a great time, and they tell you, hey, okay, everybody, we're going to meet back here at this time, whether it's 10 minutes from now, whether it's an hour from now, 6 hours from now, whatever. We're going to meet back at this time. And inevitably, there's always somebody who is just late. And I'm not talking like 30 seconds late. I'm talking like 10 or 15 minutes late for whatever reason. Doesn't matter, but they're late. And this is just something that is really awful and shouldn't be done by anybody on a cruise. Be respectful of other people when you're on a group excursion. If you're doing an escape room, right? That's another classic example. When there's a start time, respect the start time and be there and make sure you're there on time. You're not leaving everybody hanging. You don't have to be there 20 minutes early, but make sure you're watching your time and you're not going to be that guy or gal who's coming in late. The next worst thing is something that I am hoping that in 2020 is never going to happen again, but let's face it, it probably is, and that is bad hygiene. Bad hygiene is just a bad idea in general, and on a cruise ship, it's super important because, of course, as we know, if you don't follow good hygiene practices, you can really get you or other people sick. And a lot of areas we want to practice proper hygiene. That is, of course, going to the restroom, always washing your hands after you're done doing your business. Use also a towel to open doors. That way, you're not recontaminating your hands as you come in or out, so that's always a good tip there. Number 2, if you go into a restaurant, the buffet, anywhere in which are those Purell dispensers or even better, hand washing stations, take the time. You have to do it. You should be doing it anyway, but these are the rules, and this is all about good hygiene. Making sure you're doing these things so that way, again, you're keeping everybody safe. And when cruises do resume in some point, I hope very, very soon, this is going to be even more important to be following good hygiene practices, so definitely do that. And the last thing, that's the worst thing you can do on a cruise ship, is smoke on your balcony. Royal Caribbean has banned smoking on its balconies, and yet, every so often, somebody does it anyway, whether they're ignorant of the rule or they simply don't think that they can get caught. It is wrong, and it's annoying because inevitably smoke doesn't actually just go out into the ocean and doesn't bother anybody. It's not a harmless crime, so to speak. In a lot of cases, the different winds will actually blow the smoke up, around, down, somewhere into someone else's balcony, and I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me, whether it is cigarette or something else you can smoke. It is wrong to do. You shouldn't be doing it. You know you shouldn't be doing it. So do not smoke on your balcony. And again, not only is it a fire hazard, I'm going to skip over that part because that's a major reason why it's not allowed, but it's also irritating to your fellow non-smoking passengers, and you're really putting your own vacation at risk if you were to get caught. You can get in a lot of trouble for doing this. So bottom line is, don't smoke on your balcony. All right, friends, there you have it, the top worst things that everyone does on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I want to hear in the comments, which of these are you guilty of? I was certainly guilty of some of these as well. And listen, this is an opportunity to learn and become better people and not do this kind of stuff. But let me know in the comments which of these you're guilty of. Also, if there are any that should have made our list as well, we might have to do another video. I'm kind of thinking in my head right now, hey, there could be some more annoying, worse things we shouldn't be doing, but yet everyone seems to do anyway on a cruise. Let me know in the comments. Also, while you're down there, subscribe to our video. Make sure you turn on your notifications so that way YouTube will let you know when I have a brand new video to share. And make sure you like this video because, heck, I'm sure you found it enjoyable. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.